All right, we are live in both places. Top of the day, beautiful people. I'll write my daily little notes in here real quick for everybody that's coming into this place. Who's page 224 today? All right, beautiful people. Anybody get a chance to see the sliver of the new moon? I was out there looking, y'all. Peace and blessings, Aliyah, Alicia, Betwabu, Trina. Hey, girls. Hey. All right, y'all. So we was out looking. It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear last night. I was kind of scared because right after the video yesterday, all of a sudden it just got extremely foggy over here. Like I don't know where. Woke up this morning. Actually had went outside before I started the video. It was nice and clear. I was checking the conditions first thing, but by the time we got done with the video, it was extremely cloudy. I don't know where that not cloudy, but extremely foggy. Not sure where that fog came from. But anyway, I guess after a couple hours after I got off the video, it cleared up, so when out there was watching and everything. But we weren't able to see it, although I know it was there because I have an app. It's called the Night Sky. So we was out here, we were looking, went into the backyard, we tried to see it from the front. I was like, okay, maybe it's further to maybe we need to go out. So you know what we did? Being the diligent people that we are, we hops in the truck and we're going searching for the moon. I actually called my mom while we were out driving. So I had the kids. I said, everybody, look in the direction. So all the kids was looking while I'm driving. I'm trying to catch glimpses of it. I was like, man, there's too many trees. We need to see the open sky. So what I do, being a diligent person that I am, we hops on the expressway because it's open, free of the trees and stuff. But we only had about 31 minutes to catch it last night. Like we could see it. Josh said, Mom, the app says it's right this way. We should be able to see it. So we kept going down further. But I think by the time we had realized that, where the app can literally like pinpoint it, because this is a new app because it literally shows all the constellations in the sky and stuff. It's called the Night Sky. Well, Night Sky is pretty cool. It's really colorful. If you get a chance to download, I think it's on Android and iPhone. We have an iPhone, so it was really neat, really easy to find. I think, but by the time we got down there, we had missed it, but it had been sighted. A few people was able to sight it. So, but man, of course, doing a day now, we're gonna be out here doing a day looking for it. I got your text. Yeah, I saw a text come through that you said you was finished. Is that what you're talking about? Or did you send me something else? Tell Jalen to text me when she's ready to log in again and I can approve it for her. So, but if y'all, okay, Aliyah said, nope, it was cloudy. My mom wasn't able to see it last night. So, but there were a few people that were. So, blow the trumpets in Zion. It's a new month. So, we have officially entered into the 11th month of the year. And so today, we began the count. It's day one of the new month. So 7 days from today. So today, Thursday, is day one, and we'll keep counting up and we will end the 7th day. It will be Wednesday, which will fall on the same day as the new moon. So remember, the Sabbaths will line up with whatever day you spot the new moon. That's where the Sabbaths will line up. So if you're looking at a monthly calendar and you actually put it in there, you'll actually be able to see the pattern. You will see the grid. Matter of fact, okay, I showed it to y'all before, but just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is December going into January. December 2020 going into January. So these are the last 3 Sabbaths of December here. And wait, hold on, is this right? Yes, the last 3 Sabbaths of December. And then we have the new moon, which starts here, and then we count the days. Can you see it? I'm trying to show it both for Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so the new moon was spotted here for what is this? Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. This is the month of December. This is the last 3 Sabbaths of November, and I got it written right here too. This is the last 3 Sabbaths of November, and December's new moon was spotted here on the 15th. So you count beginning at day 16. So the day that you spot the moon is new moon day. Remember, it's counted in the yearly count, but it's not counted in the monthly count, right? So you got new moon day, and then you have day 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Sabbath lands here. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sabbath lands here. And you also notice, like I said before, on the Sabbath, you can also verify if it's a Sabbath or not, because I realized also that as I was keeping track of it, that the Sabbaths will line up with the moon quarters, right? So you can see that I kind of put it right here. Half of the moon. Remember, you can tell we at the beginning of the month. If like you're ever lost in time, whatever, you happen to look at the moon and go outside. If you're here in America still on this part of the hemisphere, if you go outside and the moon is half light, half of it is lit on the right side, you will know we are at the beginning of the month, and she is waxing, meaning she's getting bigger. Think about Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Wax on means she's getting bigger. She's waxing and great in all her light. So she's waxing on in light. So it begins at the right and it goes all the way to the left till she's completely full. But when we at the first Sabbath, only half of the face of the moon is lit, and the whole right side of the moon's face will be lit. That's how you can tell that we are at the beginning of the month. When she becomes full, the book of Enoch also teaches us that we are at the 15th day of the month, which is 100%. We are at the 15th day of the month. So if you go outside and you look, the moon is full. We're at the middle of the month. And then if you see the moon, which is also a Sabbath, full moon is also a Sabbath. And so you go out, and now she will begin waning, losing her light, right? So when she gets half full again, and she's only lit on the left side, that means we're at the end of the month, and that's called the third quarter, and that's also a Sabbath, right? And after that quarter, it will start all over with the new moon again. The new moon is completely blacked out. It says she is completely diminished of her light. And some of those days, it maybe she'll have maybe one day where she's completely black, or maybe 2 days where she's completely black. Those are the transition days, but they're also called new moon days. But we can't call the new moon until we see the new moon. So the first filling of the light, the first portion of the light where she feels it, that's why we watch. Because we know when the moon is not there, unless she's changing gates or whatever. If you're keeping track, you'll know we're about the month you at. If she's been waning, you know we're about at the end of the month. So when she disappears, it's probably okay. The new moon is about to get some light. So we need to be watching, right? We need to be watching so we can get the dates right. And we learn that actually when we keep the Feast of Trumpets, we actually walk through that process physically. Okay, Alicia, that was it. Okay. But when we see the light, it's a new moon. We spotted it, and now we can officially begin the new month as in counting. And after you see the new moon, the sliver, the first bit of light in the new moon disc, new moon day, then you begin to count next day. Day 1. This is actually day 1 because we actually spotted on the night before. So the first day during the daytime where we have light, it's the new moon day, right? Get that? Okay. All right, y'all. So I hate to be the dead horse, but I just want to make sure everybody get it, because some people, they still don't quite understand it. So I try to explain it as much as possible. But anyway, beautiful people, I'm about to do the Shema. It is Thursday, January 14, 2020, day 50. Day 50, 50 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, we have been reading for 719 days without the Sabbath days and the feast day Sabbath days added in. Why? Because we rest. Just like the new moon on those days where she's completely black, those are considered our rest days. So we rest on those days, and those days are not counted in our complete count, right? But the days that we're light over the last 3 years have been 719 days, the actual days where we're reading, right? The resting days are not counted, but they are counted in the year. What I really need to do, I actually really need to get the count of the complete days that we've been here. The days we have actually been reading versus all the Sabbath days where we've rested. And I think I'm gonna do that. That's gonna take me, because I haven't been tracking. I need to go back and over the last 3 years and check myself. I definitely know that there's going to be this count is definitely each year 52 days behind. So 52 and 52 is what, 4? It's at least 104. That's 2, but that's not even counting in the feast Sabbath days added into the regular feasts during the week. So I got to sit down and calculate that. All right, beautiful people. So today we are in Exodus. Let me pull up the Shema. Hold on. I'm reaching for my Bible, but I forgot I was doing it online. Hold on. Okay. All right, y'all. So remember, the Shema is located in Deuteronomy chapter 6. I'm sorry, y'all. Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we're doing verses 3 to 9, then 24 to 25. I kind of combined it a little bit, but if you get a chance, you should read all of Deuteronomy chapter 6, people. All right. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuah our God for our good always, that He might always preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do these commandments before Yahuah our God, as He has commanded us. Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and start with Exodus. Exodus chapter 22. And remember, we are still at this point giving the law. We are being given the law at Mount Sinai. None like you. Okay. Shalom, shalom, mother. Okay. Exodus chapter 22. Whoever steals an ox or sheep and slaughters it or sells it must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox, 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in at night and is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed, but if it happens after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. Anyone who steals must certainly make restitution, but if they have nothing, they must be sold to pay for their theft. If the animal stolen is found alive in their possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, they must pay back double. If anyone grazes their livestock in a field or a vineyard and lets them stray, and they graze in someone else's field, the offender must make restitution from the best of their own field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads into thorn bushes so that it burns shocks of grain or standing grain or the whole field, the one who started the fire must make restitution. If anyone gives a neighbor silver or goods for safekeeping, and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if caught, must pay back double. But if the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before the judges, and they must determine whether the owner of the house has laid hands on the other person's property. In all cases of illegal possession of an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, or any other lost property about which somebody says, "This is mine," Both parties are to bring their cases before the judges. The one whom the judges declare guilty must pay back double to the other. If anyone gives a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any other animal to their neighbor for safekeeping, and it dies or is injured or is taken away while no one is looking, the issue between them will be settled by the taking of an oath before Yahuah that the neighbor did not lay hands on the other person's property. The owner is to accept this and no restitution is required. But if the animal was stolen from the neighbor, restitution must be made to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the neighbor shall bring in the remains as evidence and shall not be required to pay for the torn animal. If anyone borrows an animal from their neighbor and it is injured or dies while the owner is not present, they must make restitution. But if the owner is with the animal, the borrower will not have to pay. If the animal was hired, the money paid for the hire covers the loss, or it's like insurance. So think about this in terms today. For those of us that don't have cattle, this would be like our personal belongings and stuff like that, right? It's 12 Great Rising, Shayla, Natasha, Aliyah. Or I say hi to Aliyah. Peace and blessings, everybody. Okay. So none of this stuff we see from Yahuwah's law is hard for us to keep today. Not one single bit is hard. Some of us actually do have livestock now as they're moving back to rural places and purchasing land. They're actually now acquiring livestock and stuff like that. But if you don't have it, the rules apply to your personal belongings because it calls out both, right? That's why it's good that we read what Yahuwah has actually said in his law, right? Okay. The next section is about social responsibility. All of this still applies. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price, and she shall be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price for virgins. Do not allow a sorceress to live. All right, babe. You still mad with me? You.
You heard what I said?
I thought he wasn't gonna give me a kiss this morning, y'all. Do not allow a sorceress to live. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal, okay, babe. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. What's crazy is Yahuwah had to call this out. Why? Oh, I said I love you too. I'm sorry. Love you too, babe. Yahuwah had to call this out. Why? Because they were living amongst the nations where the heathens were doing this. Like people are still doing this today. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. There are countless stories. Not that I go looking for them, but sometimes they just pop up. I'm like, seriously? Yes. Some people even have to go to the hospital because of these shenanigans right here. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyone, I'm gonna read that again. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than Yahuwah must be destroyed. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. Y'all don't play about that. Like, as we watch, as things progress in the world, all the mothers and all the children who were made widows and fatherless, Yahuwah, remember, Yahuwah metes out punishment measure for measure. So what you do to somebody else, it will be done to you. It's like the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have done unto you. That's what's going to begin to happen. So as we begin to see the world flip-flops, and a lot of things that have been done to Yahuwah's people, it's going to blow our mind that the same things will begin to be done to them. Those who were captors will become the captees. That's what Yahuwah says. I'll read this again. Verse 22. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows and your children fatherless. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal. Charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it by sunset, because that cloak is the only covering your neighbor has. What else can they sleep in? When they cry out to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. Do not blaspheme Yahuah or curse the ruler of your people. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day. You are to be my holy people. So do not eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Throw it to the dogs. All right, y'all. Exodus chapter 23. The laws of justice and mercy. Do not spread false reports. As a matter of fact, as while we're reading through this, while y'all here, I want y'all as you're paying attention, I want y'all to type in something where y'all think it's too much that can't be done today, where you think it's completely done away with. And this is as we read, right? Laws of justice and mercy. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you falling down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure you help them with it. Do not deny justice to the poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with a false charge, and do not put an honest or innocent person to death, for I will not acquit the guilty. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who seize and twists the words of the innocent. Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners, because you were foreigners in Egypt. Okay, now we're going into the Sabbath laws. For 6 years you are to sow your fields and harvest the crops, but during the 7th year let the land lie unplowed and unused. Then the poor among your people may get food from it, and the wild animals may eat what is left. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days do your work, but on the 7th day do not work, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and so that a slave born in your household and the foreigner living among you may also be refreshed. Be careful to do everything as I have said. Do not invoke the names of other gods, and do not let them be heard on your lips. The 3 annual feasts. 3 times a year you are to celebrate a festival to me. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt, which is the same as Passover month. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Celebrate the festival of the harvest with the first fruits of the crops you sow in your field. Celebrate the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, or which is also called the Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot, or Pentecost, right? That's the day, the 50 days you count after your first fruit. So we get our first fruits from our crops, which will happen sometime in May. We get them. Anybody who has a garden, we're going to be doing this. You get it, and we're watching our gardens as we tend to them. We see the first fruits. Thank you, Father Yah. And so from the time we take in our first fruits from our garden, from our crops, that next Sabbath, so say if we harvest, we see the first fruits, and we can, like, say if it's a tomato, or a tomato is ripe and ready to be picked, say that's the first fruit, right? And I know it says like grain, so say if you have heads of corn, they're ready to be plucked, right? So you take that, and say that happens on a Wednesday. Yahuah says the first day after the Sabbath of the first fruit. So say the Sabbath will be, for the sake of conversation, let's just say it's going to be Saturday, right? So we harvest it on Wednesday, the first fruits. The Sabbath is going to be on this moon cycle, say a Saturday. So the day after the Sabbath day, which would be Sunday, begins the 50-day count, or the feast of 7 weeks. It's 7 weeks exactly. So after that Sabbath, it says give to the priests, and but we're in captivity. So Father, thank you for the first fruits of this. And then if it's somebody in your neighborhood, that's what I did. If I find somebody that's needy nearby, I will bless them with some fruit from my garden or whatever, right? And so say that Sabbath is that Saturday, so the count begins that Sunday. So 1, 2, 3, you count 50 days. And when you count 50 days, it will be 7 weeks exactly. That day right there, that 50th day is the Feast of Ingathering, or the Feast of Weeks, or Pentecost. The Jewish people call it Shavuot, right? It's the Feast of the Ingathering, the end of the year harvest, right? Okay. Celebrate the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in your crops from the field. 3 times a year, all the men are to appear before the sovereign Lord. Do not offer Do not offer the blood of a sacrifice to me, along with anything containing yeast. The fat of my festival offerings must not be kept until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Come here. Yeah, Aliyah, you're correct. America just does everything like they kind of keep, not that they even give credit to y'all with some of the laws or whatever. They kind of use some of his laws, and then they don't fully keep it, you know. But it was given to y'all's people, so, and we are to teach them. If they follow Yahuwah's commands, well and good. But if not, we see the destruction that happens. Okay. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. And as we get to this part, you will see why Yahuwah actually sent the angel ahead of them, right? Because they say, let us hear Yahuwah's voice. And then Yahuwah let them hear his voice with the first commandment: I am Yahuwah, have no other gods before my face. And it scared them so bad. It's like, oh, Moses, you go talk to him, you just relay the messages to us, because if we hear his voice, we gonna die, you know. And Yahuwah said, you know what? I did what you asked me to do, and now you don't want to, you pushing me away. So I'm gonna send an angel now, and he's gonna go ahead of you. Where in the beginning he himself wanted to walk with us, he was still there, you know, but there was an angel who was now leading and guiding us, right? See, that's the part that they don't add in here, but we're gonna read it as we read through the legends of the Jews in the coming days to fill in these pieces. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will wipe them out. Do not bow before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship Yahuwah your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I take away sickness from among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full lifespan. So if we have some of these things among us, we might need to stop and consider our ways. Like, okay, Father, clearly we're doing something wrong, and we need to check our lives and repent, because when his blessing among us, we're not sick. You know, none of these things are happening to us, right? Okay. Verse 27. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make all your enemies turn their backs and run. I will send the hornet ahead of you to drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way, but I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little, I will drive them out before you until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert of the Euphrates River. I will give into your hands the people who live in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare unto you. Last chapter in Exodus for the day, y'all. Exodus chapter 24. Then Yahuah said to Moses, come up to Yahuah, you and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance, but Moses alone is to approach Yahuah. The others must come not near, and the people may not come up with him. When Moses went and told the people all Yahuwah's words and laws, they responded with one voice, everything Yahuah has said, we will do. Moses then wrote down everything that Yahuah said. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to Yahuah. Moses took half of the blood and put it in the bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and he read it to the people. They responded, we will do everything Yahuah has said. We will obey. Moses then took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, this is the blood of the covenant that Yahuah has made with you in accordance with all these words. Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Listen to this. They, not only Moses, but Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and all the 70 elders. Listen, you know how many years that I read this and I didn't realize that they all went up and saw him? Listen, and not only did they sit with him, they sat and they had a meal with him. Listen. Verse 9. Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But Yahuah did not raise his hand against these leaders of the Israelites. They saw Yah and they ate and drank. Then Yahuah said to Moses, come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandments I have written for their instruction. Then Moses set out with Joshua, his aide, and Moses went up on the mountain of Yahuah. He said to the elders, wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them. When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yahuah settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day Yahuah called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of Yahuah looked like a consuming fire on the top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went up on the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, y'all. So let's now hop over here to the Legends of the Jews, and we'll pick up where we left off at yesterday. All right. If you got the book, it's page 224. If you got the smaller book where the page numbers are different, it is the section Moses visits hell and paradise. This is exciting. Okay. When Moses was on the point of departing from heaven, a celestial voice announced, Moses, thou came hither, and thou did see the throne of my glory. Now thou shalt see paradise and hell. And Yahuah dispatched Gabriel on the errand of showing hell to him. Terrified by its fires, when he caught sight of them as he entered into the portals of hell, Moses refused to go farther, but the angel encouraged him, saying, there is a fire that not only burns, but also consumes, and that fire will protect thee against the fire of hell, so that thou canst step up upon it, and thou will not be seared. As Moses entered hell, the fire withdrew a distance of 500 parasangs, and the angel of hell, Nasarigel, asked him, "Who art thou?" And he answered, "I am Moses, the son of Amram." Narsargiel, "This is not thy place, thou belongest in paradise." Moses, "I came hither to see the manifestation of the power of Yahuah. Then Yahuah said to the angel of hell, "Go and show hell unto Moses, and how the wicked are treated there." Immediately he went with Moses, walking before him like a pupil before his master. And thus they entered hell together. And Moses saw men undergoing torture by the angels of destruction. Some of the sinners were suspended. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this part. Listen to this, y'all. Listen, pay attention. Moses saw men undergoing torture by the angels of destruction. Some of the sinners were suspended by their eyelids, some by their ears, some by their hands, and some by their tongues, and they cried bitterly. And women were suspended by their hair and by their breasts, and in other ways, all on chains of fire. Narsagiel explained, "These hang by their eyes because they look lustfully upon the wives of their neighbors, and with a covetous eye upon the possessions of their fellow man." Y'all better get it together. Put some shades over them eyes. You better rein them in if you don't want to hang by your eyelids. I'm telling you. These hang by their ears because they listen to empty and vain speech and turn their ear away from hearing the Torah. These hang by their tongues because they talked slander and accustomed their tongue to foolish babbling. These hang by their feet because they walk with them in order to spy upon their fellow men, but they walk not to the synagogue to offer prayer unto their Creator. These hang by their hands because with them they robbed their neighbors of their possessions and committed murder. Remember, Yahuwah said he metes out punishment. It's an equal punishment to the sin that you've done. If you example, if you steal, you get your hand chopped off. Boom. That's the example. Okay, so pay attention. These hang by their hands because with them they robbed their neighbors of their possessions and committed murder. These women hang by their hair and their breasts because they uncovered them in the presence of young men, so that they conceived desire unto them and fell into sin. Get it together, women. Keep yourself covered up. Stop leading men astray. Men cannot have sex with you unless you allow it. Matter of fact, you are the gatekeeper of sex. Women are the gatekeepers of sex. Now, there are the instances where they're being forced by the other, but we're not talking about that. That's a whole different scenario. Then that's not in your power. But the power of sex truly lies with women. Women say yes and women say no. That's how marriages are also kept. Women, even if the spouse wanted to be unfaithful, now, let's just say if it's a husband, even if a spouse was looking to be unfaithful with a woman other than his wife, that woman, first of all, even if she knew, if she didn't know, first of all, you shouldn't be giving yourself up willy-nilly to anybody anyway, right? But it's that woman who keeps, not necessarily keeps the man from committing adultery, because in his heart he done probably already did it, but at least she will not give the man who's seeking to be unfaithful the opportunity to drag her into his sin. Okay. Yeah, so just remember that, women. Not saying that y'all are doing that, but I'm just saying, if we sit and think about this, even in our communities, if the women got it together and under control, we can cause an accountability to come amongst the men in our community. The parasang, we said that was how many miles? How many miles did we say a parasang was? Well, about 4 miles. This was like weeks ago. We talked about a parasang. I forget. I think it was Corey who looked it up. I think a parasang is about one parasang is equal to like 4 miles, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly. Okay. These women hang by their hair and their breasts because they uncovered them in the presence of young men, so that they conceived desire unto them and fell into sin. Moses heard Hel cry with a loud and bitter cry, saying to Narsagiel, "Give me something to eat. I am hungry." Narsagiel, "What shall I give thee?" Hel, "Give me the souls of the pious." Narsagiel, "The Holy One, blessed be he, will not deliver the souls of the pious unto thee." Moses saw the place called Aluka, where sinners were suspended by their feet, their heads downward, and their bodies covered with black worms, each 500 parasangs long. They lamented and cried, "Woe unto us for the punishment of hell! Give us death that we may die." Narsagiel explained, "These are the sinners who swore falsely, profaned the Sabbath and the holy days, despised the sages, called their neighbors by unseemly names, and wronged the orphan and the widow, and bore false witness." Then we read about this today. Then we just read about the orphan and the widow. Okay. Therefore, bade Yahuah deliver them to these worms. Moses went thence to another place, and there he saw sinners prone on their faces, with 2,000 scorpions lashing, stinging, and tormenting them, while the tortured victims cried bitterly. Each of the scorpions had 70,000 heads, each head 70,000 mouths, each mouth 70,000 stings, and each sting 70,000 pouches of poison and venom, which the sinners are forced to drink down, although the anguish is so racking that their eyes melt in their sockets. Narsagiel explained, "These are the sinners who caused the Israelites to lose their money, who exalted themselves above the community, who put their neighbors to shame in public, who delivered their fellow Israelites into the hands of the Gentiles, who denied the Torah of Moses, and who maintained that Yahuah is not the creator of the world." Then Moses saw the place called Tibah Yawin, in which the sinners stand in mud up to their navels, while the angels of destruction lash them with fiery chains and break their teeth with fiery stones from morning until evening. And during the night, they make their teeth grow again to the length of a parasang. So your tooth is regrowing every night, 4 miles long, just so more punishment can be afflicted on you. We better make sure our eternal destination is not this place. I'm going to read this again. Then Moses saw the place called Tibah Yawin, in which sinners stand in the mud up to their navels, while the angels of destruction lash them with fiery chains and break their teeth with fiery stones from morning until evening. And during the night, they make their teeth grow again to the length of a parasang, only to break them anew the next morning. Narsagiel explained, "These are the sinners who ate carrion and forbidden flesh." What's forbidden flesh? Pork, everything unclean. I'm telling y'all better get it together. Get it together. Don't just think you can pray and bless something that's unclean that you will say, "Do not put in your body. It is unclean for my clean people." Don't do it, people. Just like, and I think it was Isaiah 66, when Yahuah is raining down punishment and stuff, he said, "Oh, and them nice little churchgoers are those who seem to be pious, who go out and bless my name in public, but behind the tree eating ham sandwiches and pork chops and stuff." He said, "I'm coming directly for you." Go read that. Y'all better get it together. Wean yourself off the unclean meats. Okay. These are the sinners who ate carrion and forbidden flesh, who lent their money at usury, who wrote the name of Yahuah on amulets for Gentiles, who used false weights, who stole money from their fellow Israelites, who ate on the Day of Atonement. We know that the Day of Atonement is a day where we fast. It says it's a complete day of rest and fasting, y'all. Who stole money from their fellow Israelites, who ate on the Day of Atonement, who ate forbidden fat, and the animals and the reptiles that are abomination and who drank blood. Then Narsargiel said to Moses, "Come and see how the sinners are burnt in hell." And Moses answered, "I cannot go there." But Narsargiel replied, "Let the light of the Shekinah precede thee, and the fire of hell will have no power over thee." Moses yielded, and he saw how the sinners were burnt, one half of their bodies being immersed in fire, and the other half in snow, while worms, bred in their own flesh, crawled over them, and the angels of destruction beat them incessantly. Nargiel explained, "These are the sinners who commit incest, murder, idolatry, who curse their parents and their teachers, and who, like Nimrod and others, called themselves gods." I'm going to read that again. Narsargiel explained, "These are the sinners who commit incest, murder, idolatry, who curse their parents and their teachers, and who, like Nimrod and others, call themselves gods." And we know it's a lot of people who are waking up and they're going back into, they're waking, I like to say it this way, they're waking up just to go back to sleep, but they're going into a different kind of sleep. Like people are leading them astray in a whole different fashion. Like teaching them that they are gods. I get it that we are the sons and the offspring of the Most High, but we ourselves are not gods. We die. We're men. We die. If you were a god, you would not be able to die. You would be immortal. And I, in my lifetime, as of up to this day, I have not met an immortal here. In this place, which is called Abaddon, he saw the sinners taking snow by stealth and putting it in their armpits to relieve the pain inflicted by the scorching fire. And he was convinced that the saying was true: "The wicked mend not their ways, even at the gates of hell." So even without trying to amend their ways, they just sneak in snow just to kind of cool them off a little bit. I'm like, will people ever learn? As Moses departed from hell, he prayed to Yahuah, "May it be thy will, O Yahuah, my God and the God of my fathers, to save me and the people of Israel from the places I have seen in hell." Yes, we all have meat suits. But Yahuah answered him and said, "Moses, before me there is no respecting of persons and no taking of gifts. Whosoever doeth good deeds enter into paradise, and he that doeth evil must go to hell." At the command of Yahuah, Gabriel now led Moses to paradise. As he entered, two angels came toward him, and they said to him, "Thy time is not yet arrived to leave the world." Excuse me. And Moses made answer, "What ye say is true, but I have come to see the reward of the pious in paradise." Then the angels extolled Moses, saying, "Hail Moses, servant of Yahuah. Hail Moses, born of a woman, that has been found worthy to ascend to the seven heavens. Hail to the nation to which thou belongest." Under the tree of life, Moses saw the angel Shamshiel, the prince of paradise, who led him through it and showed him all that is therein. He saw 70 thrones made of precious stones, standing on feet of fine gold, each throne surrounded by 70 angels. But one of them was larger than all the others, and it was encircled by 120 angels. This was the throne of Abraham. And when Abraham beheld Moses and heard who he was and what his purpose was in visiting paradise, he exclaimed, "Praise ye Yahuwah, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever." Moses asked Shamshiel about the size of paradise, but not even he who is the prince thereof could answer the question, for there is none that can gauge it. It can neither be measured nor fathomed nor numbered. But Shamshiel explained to Moses about the thrones, that they were different one from another, some being of silver, some of gold, some of precious stones and pearls and rubies and carbuncles. The thrones made of pearls are for the scholars that study the Torah day and night for her own sake. Those of precious stones are for the pious. Those of rubies are for the just. Those of gold are for the repentant sinners, and those of silver are for the righteous proselytes. The greatest of them all, continued Shamshiel, is the throne of Abraham. The next in size, the thrones of Isaac and Jacob. Then come the thrones of the prophets, the saints and the righteous, each in accordance with the man's worth and his rank and the good deeds he has performed in his lifetime. Moses asked then for whom the throne of copper was intended, and the angel answered, for the sinner who has a pious son. Through the merits of his son, he receives his share. Again, Moses looked, and he beheld a spring of living water welling up from under the tree of life and dividing into four streams, which pass under the throne of glory and thence encompass paradise from end to end. He also saw four rivers flowing under each of the thrones of the pious, one of honey, the second of milk, the third of wine, and the fourth of pure bosom. Beholding all these desirable and pleasant things, Moses felt great joy, and he said, "Oh, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them who put their trust in thee before the sons of men." And Moses left paradise and returned to earth. At the moment of his departure, a heavenly voice cried aloud, "Moses, servant of Yahuwah, thou art that, I'm sorry, thou that art faithful in his house, even as thou hast seen the reward that is laid up for the pious in the world to come, so also will thou be worthy of seeing the life of the world that shall be in the future time. Thou and all Israel, ye shall see the rebuilding of the temple and the event of the Messiah. Behold the beauty of Yahuwah and meditate in his temple. In the world to come, Moses, besides sharing the joys of Israel, will continue his activity as the teacher of Israel, for the people will go before Abraham and request him to instruct them in Torah. He will send them to Isaac, saying, "Go to Isaac. He have studied the Torah more than I ever studied." But Isaac in turn will send them to Jacob, saying, "Go to Jacob. He have conversed with the sages more than I ever had." And Jacob would send them to Moses, saying, "Go to Moses. He was instructed in the Torah. He was instructed in the Torah by Yahuwah himself." In the messianic time, Moses will be one of the seven shepherds that will be the leaders of Israel with the Messiah. When Moses turned aside to see the great sight, that bush that was not consumed, he heard a voice calling to him, "Draw not hither." These words were to convey that the dignity to be conferred upon him, Yahuwah intended for Moses personally, not for his descendants, and further, he was warned not to arrogate honors appointed for others, as the priesthood, which was belonging to Aaron and Aaron's descendants, or royalty, which was to appertain to David and the house of David. Again, the voice spake, "Put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground." These words conveyed the desire of Yahuwah that he cut asunder every bond uniting him with earthly concerns. He was even to give up his conjugal life. Hereupon the angel Michael spoke to Yahuwah, "O Lord of the world, can it be thy purpose to destroy mankind? Blessing can only prevail if male and female are united, and yet thou biddest Moses separate from his wife." Yahuwah answered, saying, "Moses has begot children. He has done his duty toward the world. I desire to unite himself now. Hold on. Moses has begot children. He has done his duty toward the world. I desire him to unite himself now with the Shekinah, that she may descend upon earth for his sake." Yahuwah spake furthermore, addressing Moses, "Thou seest only what is to happen in the near future, that Israel is to receive the Torah on Mount Sinai, but I behold what comes after. Bow the people will worship the steer, the figure of that which they will see upon my chariot, even while my revelation will be made on Mount Sinai." Thus we know while Moses was here up on the mountain. Remember, he's literally in heaven at this when he ascended the mountain, Yahuwah took him to heaven. So all this time while he's in heaven, the people just saw him go up the mountain. But all this time he's in heaven. And while all this is going on, the people are growing restless. And it's like, oh, the man Moses that led us out here in the wilderness, he dead. We need a God to follow. And so it tells us before when we read that they chose the calf based on what they saw when they were fleeing Egypt. And so they likened that to be the image of Yah, right? But Yahuwah said, do not make any image, do not create any image and fashion them as idols or anything that you have seen on earth or anything that is in heaven, right? So they were still a little bit ignorant and they was doing stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading. Yahuwah spake furthermore, addressing Moses, thou seest only what is to happen in the near future, that Israel is to receive the Torah on Mount Sinai, but I behold what comes after. Bow the people will worship the steer, the figure which they will see upon my chariot, even while my revelation will be made on Sinai. Thus they will excite my wrath. Nevertheless, though I know all the perverseness of their hearts, wherein they will rebel against me in the desert, I will redeem them now. For I accord unto man the treatment he merits for his present actions, not what he will deserve in the future. I promised their father Jacob, I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will surely bring thee up again. And now I will betake myself thither to bring Israel up in accordance with my words unto Jacob, and bear them to the land I swore to give unto their fathers, that their seed should inherit it. So long as the time of affliction that I had appointed unto his seed, and my revelation to Abraham was not past, I hearkened not to the supplication and the groaning of his children, but now the end hath come. Therefore go before Pharaoh, that he dismiss my people. If thou dost not bring about the redemption, none other will, for there is no other that can do it. In thee doth Israel hope, and upon thee doth Israel await. The matter lieth in thine own hands alone. Moses, however, refused to take the mission upon himself. He said to Yahuwah, thy promise was unto Jacob, I will surely bring thee up out of Egypt. I will I will surely bring thee up again out of Egypt. Thou didst undertake to do it thyself, and now it is thy purpose to send me thither. And how indeed it were possible for me to accomplish this great matter, to bring the children of Israel up out of Egypt. So remember, keep in mind, y'all, that Yahuwah himself is our deliverer, right? He's our deliverer, but he uses someone here in our generation who has been born down here on the earth to actually carry out the work, which was Moses. They saw Moses even aforetime that he would be the deliverer to Israel at this time. So as we read this, really understand what's going on. Yahuwah himself is our Messiah. He is our deliverer. But as he begins to work that and deliver his people, he uses someone in that generation who he has set apart. And most do not know who that person is until the time comes in that generation where that Messiah is revealed unto the people who will lead them out of captivity. But directly and indirectly behind it all is the deliverer of Israel, Yahuwah himself. Don't forget that, y'all. And how indeed were it possible for me to accomplish this great matter, to bring the children of Israel up out of Egypt? How could I provide them with food and drink? Many are the women and Many are the women in childbirth among them. Many are the pregnant women and the little children. Whence shall I procure dainties for those who have born babes? Whence sweet meats for the pregnant? And whence tidbits for the little ones? And how may I venture to go among the Egyptian brigands and murderers? For thou art bidding me to go to my enemies, to those who lie in wait to take my life. Why should I risk the safety of my person, seeing that I know not whether Israel possesses merits making them worthy of redemption? I have reckoned up the years with care, and I have found that but 210 have elapsed since the covenant of the pieces made with Abraham at the time thou didst ordain 400 years of oppression for his seed. But Yahuwah overturned all his objections. He spake to Moses, saying, I will be with thee. Let me make a correction, y'all. We haven't got that far. I said he was up here. They was already at Sinai. They're not up here. This is the time we're picking up where he went and Yahuwah got his attention. He's up here. He's talking to y'all on this same mountain where it's the burning bush. I just realized what I said, but we haven't gotten to that part yet. Yahuwah is showing him what is to come, what's going to happen. That's why he's saying, how can I don't know that I can do this. How can I, single or me, lead out this great host of people? You're sending me to murderers. Okay. I just realized what I said. I just want to make that correction. But Yahuwah overturned all his objections. He spake to Moses, saying, I will be with thee. Whatever thou desirest, I will do, so that the redemption will in very truth be realized through me, in accordance with my promise to Jacob. The little ones that Israel will carry up out of Egypt, I will provide with food for 30 days. This shall prove to thee in what manner I will supply the needs of all as I will, and as I will be at thy side, thou hast no need to fear any man. Respecting thy doubt whether Israel deserves to be redeemed, this is my answer. They will be permitted to go forth from Egypt on account of the merits they will acquire at this mountain, whereon they will receive the Torah through thee. And thy reckoning of the end is not correct. For the 400 years of bondage began with the birth of Isaac, not with the going down of Jacob into Egypt. Therefore, the appointed end have come. Now, I had been wondering, let me just pause real quick because I had been wondering about something and it wasn't quite making sense in the last couple of days, right? As I began to go through this again, I began to see something that I did not originally see. Now, let me just say, because some of you may have caught on to this. Okay, so you know how there is this debate. Okay, the 400 years, was it the first Egypt or is it this the second Egypt? And I used to wonder that. So I was like, okay, well, the first Egypt is 430 years of total sojourning, but they were in hard labor for 210 years. And the other 220 years, they were living free, right? So, but I began to think about something with Moses. And it even says it right here because I must have glanced over this part, right? So he said the 400 years began. Let me read this right here. And the reckoning of the end is not correct. For the 400 years of bondage began with the birth of Isaac, not with the going down of Jacob into Egypt. Therefore, the appointed end have come. Okay, so with saying that, I listen to what I'm saying because I've really been thinking about this. I'm like, okay, well, Father, if that's the case, then this would make sense. And this would make what Daniel saw, which they didn't reveal, about the time of the end, which is something I've been kind of thinking about, going back and forth, looking, trying to understand. I'm like, okay, so if that was if that was truly the 400 years and not this right here, then what is this? Remember, Moses, after they come out of this slavery from Egypt, Yahuwah tells Moses of another slavery that we would go into. And that one, it did not have a time limit on, right? And so I was trying to make this make sense. I'm still looking into this, but just in case y'all wondering, if this is the case right here, y'all, we still working through this. We're gonna see. Then there was really no, I mean, there's an appointed time, but it wasn't given from what we read in Deuteronomy. We just saw the manner of how we would go into captivity, right? And how the manner of how we would go, like it says we would go this next bondage. Remember, because when Yahuwah was speaking to him, they had just come out of Egypt. They was in the wilderness. He said, listen, Moses, down the future, they're going to go back into bondage. And it's going to be a very long time. He said they're going to be taken into bondage by ships. And he lists out all those other things, right? Okay, so that's what kind of caught my attention but clearly we know something is happening now where Yahuwah is begin now hearing our prayers. So that's why I've been looking into for the last couple of days. I'm like, wait a minute, Father, we still missing pieces here, pieces. So I just wanted to bring that up because I'm just being transparent with y'all as I'm looking at stuff and coming across stuff. I still got some missing pieces. I don't know everything. If y'all know, help us out, and I'll share with y'all. Okay. Let me go back up a sentence. Respecting thy doubt whether Israel deserves to be redeemed, this is my answer. They will be permitted to go forth from Egypt on account of thy merits they will acquire at this mountain, whereon they will receive the Torah through thee. And thy reckoning of the end is not correct. For the 400 years of bondage began with the birth of Isaac, not with the going down of Jacob into Egypt. Therefore, the appointed end hath come. Persuaded now of Yahuwah's unalterable resolve to use him as his instrument in the redemption of Israel from Egypt, Moses entreated Yahuwah to impart to him the knowledge of his great name, that he be not confounded if the children of Israel ask for it. Yahuwah answered, saying, Thou desirest to know my name. My name is in according to my acts. I judge my creatures. I am called Elohim, judge. When I rise up to do battle against the sinners, I am Lord Zebaoth, the Lord of hosts. When I wait with long suffering patience for the improvement of the sinner, my name is El Shaddai. When I have mercy upon the world, I am Adonai. But unto the children of Israel, thou shalt say that I am he that was, that is, and that will ever be, and that I am he that is with them now in their bondage, and he that shall be with them in the bondage of the time to come. This is mentioning the bondage of the time to come again, right? There's two things he just listed out here that further nudges me in a direction that we're missing something else. Who in the world? Oh, okay. Thought somebody was at my door. It was just a delivery. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me read this again. Thou desirest to know my name. My name is in accordance to my acts. When I judge my creatures, I am called Elohim, judge. When I rise up to do battle against the sinners, I am Lord Zebaoth, or Sebawoti, or Sevaot, the Lord of hosts. When I wait with long suffering patience for the improvement of the sinner, my name is El Shaddai. But when I have mercy upon the world, I am Adonai. But unto the children of Israel, thou shalt say that I am he that was, that is, and that will ever be. And I am he that is with them in their bondage now, and he that shall be with them in the bondage of the time to come. We're in that bondage of the time to come. That's what he's talking. That's us. The bondage of the time to come. In reply, which lines up with Deuteronomy chapter 30, which talks about this bondage of the time to come. In reply to the latter words of Yahuwah, Moses says, Suffice it unto the day is the evil thereof, and Yahuwah assented thereto. He admitted that it was not proper to force the knowledge of future suffering upon Israel in the present that itself was full of evil and sorrow. And Yahuwah said to Moses, My words about the future were meant for thee alone and not for them. Yes, thank you, baby girl. I know you're freezing. Okay, thank you, baby girl, for getting that. Tell the children of Israel besides that at my behest an angel can stretch his hand from heaven and touch the earth with it, and 3 angels can find room under one tree, and my majesty can fill the whole world. For when it was my will, it appeared to Job in his hair, and again, when I willed otherwise, it appeared in a thorn bush. And we almost done, y'all. We got a couple more sentences.
They popped out.
Okay, thank you, baby girl. But the most important communication from Yahuwah to Moses concerning the divine names were the words to follow. In mercy, I created the world. In mercy, I guided, and with mercies, I will return to Jerusalem. But unto the children of Israel, thou shalt say that my mercy upon them is for the sake of the merits of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When Moses heard these words, he spoke to Yahuwah, saying, Are there men that transgress after death? And when Yahuah assured him that it was not possible for the dead to sin, Moses asked again, why then is it that thou did reveal thyself unto me at the first as the God of my father, and now thou passed over him, and now thou passed him over? Whereupon Yahuah said, and before in the beginning it was my purpose to address thee with flattering words, but thou hearest the whole and exact truth, and I am only, I am only, hold on, let me read that again. Whereupon Yahuah said, in the beginning, it was my purpose to address thee with flattering words, but now thou hearest the whole and exact truth. I am only the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Moses prayed to Yahuah, entreating him to reveal his great and holy name unto him, so that he might call upon him with it and secure the fulfillment of all his wishes. Yahuah granted the prayer of Moses, and when the celestials knew that he had revealed the secret of the ineffable name, they cried out, blessed. All right, thank you, baby girl. They cried out, blessed art thou, O Yahuah, gracious giver of knowledge. Yahuah is always regardful. Thank you. Yahuah is always regardful of the honor of the elders of a people, and he bade Moses assemble those of Israel and announced the approaching redemption to them. And as Yahuah knew beforehand how Pharaoh's obduracy would display itself, he made it known to Moses at once. Baby girl, stop rattling the bags. Just give me 1 minute. I'm almost done. Literally, in like 2 minutes, we'll be done. He made it known to Moses at once, lest he reproach Yahuah later with the Egyptian king's frowardness. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. I'm sorry. She rattling the bags and stuff that just came in. I'm so sorry. Okay, but my beautiful people, I just looked up. Leisha, we ended on page 227. So if you got your book, just mark it down. Send yourself a text. It's there. We actually started at 224. Yes, we started at 224 and we read to page 227, y'all. And we'll pick this up here tomorrow. Let me make my date up here.
Mommy, sushi.
Okay. All right, beautiful people. So I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. We read Exodus 22, 23, and 24. Thank you, baby girl. My veggie sushi is here. Thank you. And in the Legends of the Jews, we read pages 224 through 227. I see stuff coming in. Let me do the blessing. I'm going to go back and look at it, y'all, because it's starting to get kind of busy over here. All right, so today it is Thursday, January the 14th, 2021, day 50 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 719. So I'm going to go ahead and do the blessing. Then I'm going to come back and look at your questions real quick. Okay. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Bella, don't do that.
I didn't do that. It fell off himself.
This is getting weird. It did updates and it's not keeping my stuff because I got it typed out in my notes, and it normally just brings it at the top when I open it up, but I gotta scroll through and find it. Okay, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses, you guys, is a Nazarite vow. And Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuah bless us and keep us. May Yahuah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so the 400 years have not ended. Yes, Trina, the 400 years has ended. So our 400 years has not ended. See, here's the thing, right? If we, and here's what I'm not going to say I've been struggling with, but my attention has really been drawn to it. I'm not saying that I'm right or that I'm wrong, but that it's this particular subject right here, and it's funny that we'll read that today because this particular subject right here has been drawing my attention. We clearly know something is going on and Yahuah is about to deliver us. But here's the thing, everything concerning our deliverance in this time, in this generation, has been sealed up. But I believe it's being unsealed because remember, think about Daniel. When Yahuah told the angels was giving a message to Daniel when he was speaking. Remember, Daniel was sick for all the things that he saw with Israel that were going to happen. So, but what he saw was the first destruction of Israel and the first captivity that they went into, which Moses is about to deliver them from. That's what Daniel saw, right? And then, hold on, wait a minute. Let me make sure I got that correct. No. I think I said that wrong. I said that wrong. That happened way before Daniel. I'm sorry. Make sure I'm paying attention to my words. That first one happened way before Daniel. What Daniel saw was this captivity here. This is what Daniel saw, this captivity when it began. Remember, he was asking the angel, how long shall these things go on? And the angel responded to him for times, and half a times, right? So all these things, but he said, remember the angel told him at the end, he said, Daniel, he pretty much said, I cannot reveal any more to you. Seal up the books. They will be revealed at the end time, right? So we don't know the manner of our deliverance. Really the only thing that we have until we start coming across this. And I was delivered something yesterday that I was up to 3:00 this morning reading, like it came in the mail. It's another book that I had been researching into that I realized that was out there from the book of Enoch. It's called, y'all remember hearing about the book of remembrance? So I started looking for this particular book, and I saw a few different things, and I was reading reviews, but I saw, stop doing that. Don't do that. I saw this particular one, and it's literally 555 pages. That right there just blew my mind. So I'm just like, okay. So I went through it, and when I opened it up, I actually got in the bed. That's what I shouldn't have did. I shouldn't have did that last night, because when I got in the bed, I was in there for like 3 hours going through this book. Like I could not go to sleep because it was lining up. Like some of the stuff, I guess, that's been lost in translation. From what I understand, this is the most accurate version of what's been left from what they were able to pull from the original scrolls of the Book of Remembrance, right? And it talks about a lot of the things, but here is what it says at the end of this book, which it shook my soul even more for this thing that's been grabbing my attention the last couple of days. It talks about it's a book. It's 500 pages. They didn't have it on Kindle. I had to actually order the book. I paid like $40. I paid like $40 for it. But at the end of this book, Enoch was also talking to an angel, and it was talking about this in captivity. That's why it kept my attention for like 3 hours. Like I had to make myself close the book and go to sleep, because I knew I had to be up early. Because if I had fallen asleep later, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably still be asleep. I literally had to make myself close it. I had to drink water to know that I would be able to wake myself up in time to get up on time this morning. But it talks about this in captivity here, and it says we cannot reveal anything more about this because I wish I would have brought it downstairs with me. It says this in captivity, for those here in this captivity who are going to be delivered from this captivity, the information on how we're going to be delivered and what Yahuah is going to do for us will be delivered to us by him during this time. Like what then, and it lines up. I'm like, oh snap, because it says there was a reason why it couldn't be revealed. Just think about, people got knowledge and stuff ahead of time. They start trying to circumvent stuff. And I don't know what's going to, now that I got, I'm not sure exactly what y'all going to do, but I know he's going to deliver us. But whatever it is going to be revealed to us here in this day. So I'm on the lookout for this stuff as I'm reading, which is why I was like, okay, Father, I was like, I was picking this up and I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, now for the last couple of years, I've been thinking this. I said, but something in the last couple of days has really been grabbing my attention that I've seemed to be overlooking, right? I was like, okay, and it says you can read it through the Bible. We just kind of gloss over it. seal that up to the end time. It'll reveal then. It'll be revealed then. It'll be revealed then. So I'm like, okay, Father, reveal it to us now. So, but apparently, and I'll show y'all the book. I'll put the title. Matter of fact, when we're done, I'll get the title and stuff, and I'll share it with you guys. So if you want to go check it out, I don't know, but it's a lot deeper detail. Like, we just finished reading the book of Enoch. It's a lot deeper detail with Enoch. We thought the book of Enoch was deep. This is like part 2 of the book of Enoch. Like, all this stuff in it. I'm like, wait a minute. This says this aligns with that. As far as to what I've read just yesterday, last night alone, or early this morning alone, it seems to all line up with the scripture and things that we've learned and things that we're uncovering now. But when it got to that part at the end, something just grabbed hold of me. The figure of speech, something grabbed hold of me. He said, what's going to happen at this end captivity, how they're going to be delivered, will be revealed in that day. Like, it's not going to be given to anybody in previous generations. I mean, aside from Daniel, because Daniel saw, but the angel told him to seal it up. It'll be unsealed during our day. So that's what we're looking for, y'all. So I just want to be honest with y'all about that. So I'm adjust my words now as I begin to speak, as I'm finding this stuff out and looking at this. I'm like, okay, Father, you said you're going to lead us and guide us into all truth, but if we good researchers and stuff, when we come across good information, it will behoove us. We're like, okay, let's take this, let's check it out. Instead of like, oh, no, heresy. I learned to stop doing that because I could be wrong, So, and because it you know how it seemed like it's coincidence, but that didn't seem like a coincidence. I didn't know what I was going to read early this morning in that book that I received in the mail yesterday. I didn't know that was in there, something that had already been grabbing my attention and pulling my attention to, in the words of Daniel and what he said and what the angel said about this time, and how everything that has been sealed from previous generations, where they would not be able to understand, where they could not see, it's only going to be revealed to Israel. So I'm like, I'm like, okay. So I'll keep y'all updated. Where did I order? I ordered it from Amazon. Like, I was doing a lot of Googling and stuff, looking for this book. I found it on Amazon. It's a few of them up there, but I take my time and I read the reviews, and as much information on this particular thing that I want to purchase, I kind of read into it just to see, okay, is this what I might be looking for or not? But if I do get something, like I have gotten something before and it's not what I thought it was, and I won't even give you the reference for that. I was like, yeah, that I don't even know why they put that title on that. But this right here blew my mind last night. So, but I ordered it from Amazon. I'll put the name and stuff up there, but it's called the Book of Remembrance, just like the Book of Enoch talks about, the Book of Remembrance, right? Okay, so, but that's it, y'all. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense, because when I do research, some of our people went to the islands before they came here to the United States. Therefore, Israel had been in captivity for over 400 years. Yeah. So we this captivity has been long. From the time that we've come here, the dispersed of Judah, like 1619, but also before the transatlantic slave trade, you can't rule out the Spanish Inquisition. Those was our people too. All of that, all of that stuff that happened, all of those things, all of those pieces go together. And there are some brothers and sisters that their channel is focused on that particular piece right there. And they have a lot of good information. I've gotten a lot of good resources from them as I begin to put these pieces together. But here's what y'all need to understand. Remember that all of our brothers and sisters, there's not one person who has the whole full picture yet. Everybody has a piece. So if you understand that while you're researching and you're looking, okay, she seems to be saying what's right, he seems to be saying what's right, which one is right? They're both right. Well, they may not be right. Get what I'm saying? But everybody has a piece, and this one is right, 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 and this one is right. Now what we have to do, we have to take our scattered pieces and put them together. That's what we need to do. And there's still a lot of bickering and fighting amongst our people, even here on YouTube, that's trying to share the truth. And the comments sometimes really cause me to want to break down and cry, because I'm like, y'all still are not getting this. Like, we have to work together. Like, we have to put this together. Yahuah is going to reveal it to us. So we got to take those the scattered pieces, and as we come together, bring our pieces back together and ask y'all to reveal it to us so we can see. All right. Sister the Most High said, Yahuah says he'll send Aliyah and Moses, which is Elijah. Elijah, that's funny. I got it right there. Right, I wrote it on my refrigerator. The two witnesses, Elijah and Moses. I kid you not. I got it right there on my refrigerator. He said he'll send Moses, the two witnesses, before he returns. Does that mean it's Judah and the house of Israel to be the judges on what's to come? I can see the analogy in that. I personally believe it's going to, let me make sure for somebody to watch this later and try and write my words in stone. Okay, here's what scripture says, right? He says he's going to bring Judah and Ephraim, the two sticks, back together and make them one stick. And that one stick is going to become Yahuwah's battle axe. And Yahuwah is going to use his battle axe against the nations, which is the house of Judah, the southern kingdom, and the house of Israel, which is the northern kingdom. Remember, they split in King Solomon's son's time, right? That's what Yahuwah said. So when he says that, he's talking about those who have been scattered. The dispersed of Judah includes Judah. You remember Yahuwah told King Solomon, he said, I'm not going to take, because of what King Solomon had done, and we're going to read more on King Solomon later, but we'll get the details from the legends of the Jews. Yahuwah told King Solomon, when he went and started worshiping other gods and offering sacrifices to his women gods and stuff and setting up altars to them, he said, listen, he said, because you did this, he said, I am going to take, remember, the first time he did that, Yahuwah took his wisdom, that everything from him. It don't tell you that in the Bible, but in other manuscripts, it does. And it tells you how King Solomon's life just went. It was just a spiraling. That's why Ecclesiastes come into play. Now, if you understand that, you understand why the book of Ecclesiastes is there, and Ecclesiastes makes sense. Because when he realized, oh, I should have never disobeyed the Most High. I should have never multiplied all these women into myself, because they have caused me to turn my heart away. And Yahuwah told him, he said, don't do that, because they will turn your hearts away. And that's what happened to King Solomon. So he said, but I'm not going to take the kingdom from you for the sake of my servant King David, your father. He said, but I am going to split this kingdom, and I'm going to take it away from your son. After you pass away, when your son gets in rulership, and his son was only in rulership for a couple years, and then Yahuwah caused a split between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. The kingdom split. 10 tribes, which are now the northern kingdom of Israel, which consists of the 10 tribes. And then you have the southern kingdom and the one of Judah, which the one tribe that he left to Judah was the tribe of Benjamin. And remember, Levi, there was also Levi mixed in with Judah and Benjamin. And Levi was also mixed into other 10 tribes. Remember, we, Yahuwah's people, Israel, are the priests of Yahuwah to the nations, and within his royal priesthood is the Levitical priesthood, who is the priesthood within the tribes. So we as Levi are scattered within each tribe. Not saying you Levi. I know I descend from Levi, but I'm not sure about you. But over here in America, we got Judah, we got Levi, and we got Benjamin, right? And so, but also when they split, the Levites who were scattered within the 10 tribes, a lot of them also defected from them because they were turning away completely from Yah, and they defected and came to the southern kingdom. So there was a lot of Levi in the southern kingdom of Judah and Benjamin, right? So when that happened, so that's the split, and that's what happened. So when you read in scripture in the Old Testament, and you will see Yahuwah talk about them separately, and that's why he talks about them separately. When you hear Israel, Israel as a whole is all 12 tribes. But get what I'm saying? When he begins to talk about Israel, he said, I'm going to bring Israel and Judah together, knowing he's referring to us being split, the kingdoms being split, the family being split, right? So Israel is the 10 tribes. When you hear Judah, it's Judah and the one tribe Yahuwah left to Judah, which is Benjamin, right? He said, I'm going to take them. He said, and I'm going to reunite them. I'm going to reunite the house of Israel. I'm not going to reunite them with the house of Judah, and they will become one house again, and we will be forever one house as he unites us, right? So I do believe and the house of Israel is the judges. We rule and we reign with Yahuah, right? He sets us over the different nations, provinces, or wherever he will set us at, and he will rule, and we will rule and reign with him, like the book of Daniel tells us, right? But also it talks about that he'll send Moses and Elijah. Is it actually the real Elijah and Moses? Excuse me. I think so. But could it also be the spirit of Elijah and the spirit of Moses? I think so too. I think it's a compilation of all of them. Because if we read some of the texts that were not added, some of the holy text that was not actually added to the Bible and canonized, and it's not negating that it's scripture. I mean, it's all holy text. They just decided, here's what we're going to give to the masses to see. Everything else, we're going to put it over here and we're going to call it the occult. Occult means hidden. We're just going to take it, we'll call it the apocrypha. Let's put scary names on it to keep them away from that. This way we can kind of keep control and rule over everything for as long as possible, right? But Yahuah said that in those days, as we begin to return to him, he's going to begin to restore these manuscripts. And that's been happening over the process of time here recently, right? And we're now coming into the knowledge of all these things that Yahuah has said, and it's leading us back to him. And now we know, okay, we need to seek you for our deliverance and how this is going to go down, because you said that only in this generation would that particular knowledge be revealed. So that's what we're looking for right here. So it would behoove all of us to get on track and seek the Most High, like seriously, y'all. So, okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's all the questions and stuff. Okay. What about the copper ones were here? Oh, that's a good question. Listen, here's what I understood about the copper colored people, the copper colored tribes, copper colored people, black folk. That's who they're talking about. From my understanding, up until this point to today, the copper colored people who are here, who actually, when Judah was finally scattered, and they came here and they found some of the people talking the same language, which they found out was a Hebrew tongue. Those people are our family. But do you know who those people are? They just had been here so long, they forgot where they truly descended from. Remember, Yahuah said he was scattering all of us. Who did he scatter first? The 10 tribes. They got this thing going on about the 10, they call them the 10 lost tribes. Them 10, thank you, Aliyah. Aliyah, know the 10 lost tribes were not lost at all. They were scattered many, many, many years before the kingdom of Judah was actually scattered, because the kingdom of Judah kept to Yahuah's law, statutes, and commands longer than what Israel did. The 10 tribes, like 10 tribes, they went full rogue in one day, like we doing this, we doing our own thing, we creating our own gods. They it was more than one day, but that was an exaggeration. But they went fully rogue in one day, all of them, and they decided to turn away from most of everything that Yahuah had told them to do. So Yahuah scattered the 10 tribes, or the 10 lost tribes, first by the Assyrians. And the Assyrians dispersed them across the world, and they dispersed them here also to the Americas. That's why when we were later scattered, when the house of Judah, the southern kingdom of Judah, was scattered here, that's why they found folk that look like us and speak like us here. That's our family that was here. The copper-colored tribes, them our folk, them our people. But they had been here so long, as they intermingled with the natives here, and they began to marry amongst the natives that were here in the Americas, they forgot who they were. The knowledge of who they were stopped being passed down. It wasn't completely stopped passed down, because we understand and we know now somebody kept to it. But as a whole, and as they began to be whited out, and gentrification and all that stuff, by intermingling with the other people who were natives to this land, they forgot who they were, right? But not all of them. We knew something was up when we were dispersed here, and there was folk that looked just like me and you. The copper-colored tribes, the brown folk, the honey-colored people. There are old manuscripts that are not considered scripture that describes all of this in detail. And I tell y'all, somebody who has a lot of that, he does that piece of this, and a lot of y'all may know, y'all may not get with the way he talks sometimes, but if you're growing, you learn how to eat the meat and spit out the bones, get the references he's talking about. His name is Big Judah. I gotta give it to him. I don't necessarily agree with how he open up his videos, but he's praising the Most High. But here's what throws a lot of people off. When he said he opens up his video, all praises to the Most High Yahuah, giving praise to the earthly mother, which is wisdom, and Yahuah shot. You're like, what throws people off with his videos is when he give praise to the earthly mother, but he said, which is the Holy Spirit. I get it. It don't throw me off. At first, I'm like, wait, bro, what you talking about? But as I began to listen, I was like, okay, let me just, because I'm looking at some stuff that he got, and it's pulling me in his direction. I need to look at some of these references. So as I began to look, I understood what he was saying. But a lot of people, like people who are just like babies in research and stuff, and they just come out the church, like they like just walked out the church doors, they not even gonna go to his channel, like, because that right there is the gatekeeper to his channel. They won't even be able to get the information that he has because of what he says at the very beginning of every single one of his videos. So, but I had to go through. I wouldn't tell people about it if I found like a lot of shenanigans. Now there's some stuff now I will say this also with his part, what he is lacking in information is the division of the kingdom of Israel and Judah, because what he teaches, like I said, I don't agree with everything, but those references that he has pulled and he has come across are priceless and have helped me understand a lot as I went through and started pulling up some of this stuff. But he gives the names of the references and all that stuff. He doesn't necessarily put it in his description. You just got to catch it from the video. You got to like screenshot it, take pictures or write it down, because he doesn't type it out like the stuff that I do. But in there he goes, and it's a lot of manuscripts and books and stuff that has that part of history about our people who were here and how we were living here, right? And I mean, it's really, really good stuff. So, but yeah, those are the copper colored tribes. The copper colored people are the 10 lost tribes, and they're not just here. They were scattered like to the Bahamas and Oceania. You got some in Australia. They're in China. They were scattered first, way before we were. They just been here. They've been here so long that they think they're natives to this land, and they're not. This is not their original home, so, but that's my understanding as of today of all the information that I've come across. Those are the copper colored people that are already here, so, but I could be wrong. But as of this point, based on everything, all the pieces that I currently have that I put together, the copper colored people or the indigenous people here, that the copper colored tribes, that's Israel that was scattered first by the Assyrians. That's our folk. They're my cousins. You're welcome. Okay, y'all. So I think that was it for today. We're at an hour and 36 minutes. So, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm surprised baby girl quit making all that noise while she was rattling chip bags and stuff, but she went upstairs. So thank y'all for that. Let's see. I'm slow. I'm trying to picture the copper color people. I got to go to work. Trina, copper color people. The penny is copper color. Same color as us. The penny. Copper color people. Black folk. Yep. Okay, remember the story of Mandinka tribes that left his kingdom to come to America. They knew who were. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's another. Listen, that's another part that helped me put this together. Because remember, listen, if you look at the news and some of the shenanigans that they teach us in the news and show, you will realize, well, if you go back and do the research, there was a main trade route between Africa and South America. They knew the people who were over here because, excuse me, there was a trade route that was frequented a lot, and we're a lot closer to South America is a lot closer to Africa than what they are teaching us here in America. Why do you think the dust from the Sahara comes over here? Like, we've seen a lot of it here in 2021. Oh, we got the dust from Africa. And some people was making light of it. And Joe's like, oh yeah, dust from Africa. I'm like, y'all just don't realize how close we are to how close the South America is. It was a frequented trade route. There are a lot of books and history on that, and it shows it to you. They followed the jet stream. Oh my gosh, look, when I learned about jet streams and the currents of the ocean and how when you get in one, it'll just take you to a certain place, like, it blew my mind. So it's a lot of stuff that I know and that I studied that I don't necessarily talk about up here just yet. But based on all of that information, those are our people, copper color people and all that stuff. Yeah, so His nephew took the kingdom, whom were the richest men alive. Yeah, Massimo, so you're right. Yep. So, but okay, y'all. So, but that's it. We gotta go. I gotta get my day started. I'm way past my time here today. So gotta go to work. Got kids gotta do school and stuff too. All right, love y'all. See y'all bright and early in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.